Manuel Kesley, up to speed with the latest around the World Athletics Championship that is ongoing in the United States of America. This time around, I'll start with you, Kesley. Team Nigeria and the visa requirements, how has it affected them? Do we have a full contingent of Team Nigeria in the United States of America competing?
Not really full contingent this time around because we hear that Rosemary Chukuma she's been affected in the 100 meters event, and also Fable Fili as well has also been affected in the 100 meters event this time around due to the same visa issue at this point. And we only hear that Grace Wankocha is the only lady that will be competing in that 100 meters event, and this is a very huge setback for Team Nigeria when it comes to the 100 meters event. Rosemary Chukuma, she's been doing very well. She's cooled down in the United States. She was in Abuja, trying to change the status, to student before taking her flight, but she couldn't. And also Favour Ophelia as well. These are athletes that could be giving us, that huge mark when it comes to the 100 meters event. But at this point, they seem not to go the way we all expected at this point in time. So I think for me, this actually affected Team Nigeria when it comes to the 100 meters event. And we hope Chris Wankocha will be able to give us that consoling performance that all Nigerians will be expecting at this point.
It's not only Nigeria. Nigeria has been affected. Several other countries have been affected. Just before we get out of it, Lord Cole, the president of the World Athletics body, is looking helpless. He is saying the problems are multifaceted and, of course, very complicated. And so there's little they can do at this point to assist some of these athletes enter into the United States of America. They've been on this for a very long time, for nearly the whole of this year. And up to now, they still have over 300 or nearly 400, affected by this visa requirement. Why can't the World Athletics body, assist? The authorities in the United States of America ensuring that all athletes coming for the event, which is global, can be accessible to enter into the United States of America?
It's quite unfortunate that the hands of the World Athletics Federation, they are being tied, and when your hands are tied, there's little or nothing you can do in the light of the foregoing. So if you look at it technically, he's quite right, he's helpless, there's nothing they can do. But they've also tried their best to see how they could go into some form of partnership with the US Embassy and the US government to see how they can also relax some of these requirements. But it's not forthcoming. I think going forward, they should also learn their lessons that you don't take some certain championship to certain places so that you don't get robbed off of full complements of contingents of competing nations.
Talking about taking events to this is the first time we're having a World Athletics Championship in all of its 39 years, and 18th edition is the only one we're having in the United States of America, the first. Kingsley, what do you think? Because a renowned athlete as Monty, of course, Michael Johnson has won a lot of championship medals, and of course the Olympic. He's very critical of this action coming from the embassies in the United States or American embassies across, because he's of the opinion that athletics is not very popular in the United States of America, and this will have been an opportunity to make athletics, popular, like the World Cup, we know in football and maybe baseball, basketball. Athletics is far down on the pecking order when it talks about popularity, and that with the United States of America hosting the World Athletics Championship for the very first time, it will have been an opportunity to make it very popular. But yet now, because of this restriction of visa, a lot of some stars are not taking part in this one.
Some stars are not taking part of it, and just like you mentioned, it would have been a very huge opportunity for them, putting themselves in that limelight when it comes to popularity in athletics, at this point in time. But with these stringent measures, I think it has really restricted the period, and it's actually denting the image of the nation at this point. When it comes to things like this, a whole lot of athletes are not really happy with this particular situation. Some athletes, they spend a whole lot of money, even their own personal money. Some countries, they spend a whole lot of money to make sure their athletes they're prepared for this one. But unfortunately, this is happening, and I think some of the athletes, they are not really happy with the United States of America. All of this being happening at this point in time. This should have been a platform where they should have grabbed this opportunity, being the first time they're hosting the World Athletics Championship, to also grow athletics as well, in the country. The measures being put, for athletes to come in and to see for this athlete
a special, exemption, from some of the doping rules. You are aware of the art of competition test, but here we've seen about 7 or so 15 athletes from Ukraine, being exempted from the very stringent art of competition test, which you must take at least 3 times in 10 months leading to the championship. So it looks like the war has favored Ukraine in this particular one.
Well, they always say that you don't change the rule of the game in the middle of the play, but I think WADA, they have decided to change the rule of the game in the middle of the play. Why exempting the Ukrainian athletes from this out of competition test is what I don't know.
No, because they couldn't have been in their country. They couldn't do the test in their country because of the war. You remember the war has been on for now, and not just Nigeria, I think 15 countries or so, we didn't get to see. You remember at the Olympics, we saw about 10 Nigerians, following foul of the rules as well. But in this instance, 15 Ukrainians, alongside about 134 others, have been given special exemption, because of some of the countries where they are coming from and the effect of the war. Of course, if you are from Belarus and Russia, you are not in the event, but if your athletes from some of these countries, like especially Ukraine, has been given this permission to compete. So it looks like the Athletics Integrity Unit, like you mentioned, has compromised on their own very stringent rules.
Of course they have, and I pray it doesn't have a devastating and a boomerang effect on the overall performance of the championship, where some persons might want to do things that are really inimical to the growth of athletics.
Well, looking at fallout from the World Athletics Championship, visa regulations, and now there are some rules have been bent. Talking about the Athletics Integrity Unit, bending the rules for Ukrainian athletes. The Ukrainian athletes now have been exempted from full compliance with the Rule 15, which says you must do at least 3 drug tests, within a period of 10 months. And of course, it's unannounced. They will just call you up and they do the test, and of course, check it out. Talking about drug tests, Kesley Emmanuel, this art of competition test seems to have affected some members of the Team Nigeria.
Yes, it seems to have affected some members of Team Nigeria. The likes of Ezine Abba and also Kintola, they were affected. This was not even from the integrity unit for the World Athletics Federation this time around. It's about the sports ministry down here in Nigeria. They said if they did the first test and also the second test, but it was about the drug test. So the sports ministry did not have very huge level of confidence in them. They were afraid that they were going to fail, the third test, and they were asking them to drop. It was so sad, for Ezine Abba. She actually switched her nationality from the United States, to Nigeria just to participate in the World Athletics Championship. On her way to the airport, she received a message that she won't be participating in the event. That was a very sad one for her. It was a very huge, unfortunate scenario, for that they're talking about Ezine Abba. For me, I think wasn't really a proper conduct from the Nigerian sports ministry. They should have probably looked for means where this athlete would have undergone this test and making sure that yes, they participate. It's not easy for them to take those sports steps coming in, and at the end of the day, you stop them from participating in what they came for. So for me, that was really an unfortunate one for Akintola and also Ezine Abba.
Well, why do we always act as if we don't know that these things are there and work on them right on time? At the Olympics, 10 Nigerian athletes were denied participation because of out of competition tests. So at least if we didn't know before the Olympics, we now knew it at the Olympics. Yet we are still running foul of the rules which have been in the book several years ago.
I think our bane has always been the Nigerian culture of 11th hour preparation, not planning properly. And he who fails to plan has already planned to fail. There are certain things you don't do. We're not in a world of rocket science. We're in a world where things are done properly, where things are done in phases and in stages. So I believe the Nigerian factor is one thing that has really affected us negatively. And going forward, I strongly believe that we should try as best as we can to make a positive change.
Going forward, we need to make a positive change in our attitude, especially in sports administration here, because a situation where we have athletes having issues for no cause of theirs is a problem. This is not about the athletes not making themselves available. It's about proper coordination with the athletics integrity unit. And if you don't do it right on time, there's no way they will be allowed to compete, and that's what has affected some members of Team Nigeria. But meanwhile, we have a contingent of nearly 22 now at the World Athletics Championship. Let's hope that they will be able to turn in some results. Talking about turning in some results, I'll start with you, Kingsley Emmanuel. Team Nigeria, so far at the championship, do we have some light at the end of the tunnel that we will get a medal?
Yes, some light at the end of it, especially in the short put event. Our very own Jukubuka Nekuchi is been able to get down to the final. After having an impressive display, they won all 4 of the event. That's exactly a medal prospect this time around for Team Nigeria. We hope he'll be able to get it right in the final and also give us something very huge. And Team Nigeria in the 4x400 mixed relay, of course, they didn't do very well. They finished 6th position. And that was not really a huge performance from them. Though they came in few hours to the event, but they were able to put it through in the first round, and also in the second one they came 6th. But we still have hope of having getting medals, especially from the fastest man here in Nigeria. I'm talking about the likes of Favor Ashe. He was able to put up a very huge performance. In the event. I think just finished 4th, and I think he has qualified in the semi-final, and we look forward to see what comes up for him in that particular semi-final event.
Well, Team Nigeria at the event says hope, because when you qualify for the semi-final, you can take extra push to moving into the final, and then you can be now looking up to the medal position. Can you get to the podium, whether it's gold, silver, or bronze? We'd like to wish Team Nigeria the best of luck as they compete at the World Athletics Championship that has entered into day 3. Okuchu Dempo, let's get to you. We know that the first medal for this competition has been won by an athlete from from Japan. Talking about the 20-kilometer walk, we've seen Toshima Yamashi of Japan win it in 1 hour 19 minutes 07 seconds. This is the defending champion 20-kilometer walk. So at least we've seen that the very first medal for the World Athletics Championship for 2022 won by Japanese in the 20-kilometer walk. We still looking at medals there at the championship. We've seen Peru win our very first medal at the World Athletics Championship. They actually came 3rd, winning the bronze medal in that 20-kilometer walk. This is the occasion for you to win your first medal as a country. Talking about Peru, I'm very sure there will be jubilation on the street of Peru.
Of course, there will be wide jubilation for Peru as a nation and as a people. So I've gotten their first medal in the World Athletics Championship. It's not something that is easy to come by. There are some countries that have been participating in this World Athletics Championship for God knows how long. They've not been able to be on the medals table. Neither have they had athletes to climb the podium. But Peru, as tiny as a nation of Peru is, they've been able to get that one. And it's good for them. It's good for athletics and the growth of overall athletics in Peru. So it's a good thing that also the floodgates for medal has been opened, and in the days to come we'll see where that there will be medal halls and medal rooms from perennial champions. But the good thing is that the Japanese who won the 20-kilometer race is also the defending champion, so that means he's in a familiar terrain doing what he knows best to do.
Talking about World Athletics Championship medals, first medal has been won by a Japanese in the 20-kilometer walk race. Several medals to be won at the World Athletics Championship. And of course, if you win a medal, there's a lot of money attached to this one. Maybe we'll have to take a look at that subsequently on our program here. But you earn if you break a record, that's over $100,000 for breaking a record at the World Athletics Championship. And if you win gold medal, you have at least $70,000 to take home, and that's quite a lot of money if you ask me, especially if you are in Nigeria. Nigeria has never won a gold medal yet in all of the 39 years of the World Athletics Championship. We've all won 9 medals, which are in silver and bronze color. We've never won gold. So who says we cannot win gold this time around? But we'll keep our fingers crossed looking at it. But there is one person who has won, she won bronze at this event, but she is considered to be the greatest U.S. athlete when it comes to athletics. She's the greatest. Talking about one lady, you will wonder how she managed to do it. She's won 30 medals, in combination of the Olympics and the World Athletics Championship. For this championship, she's won 19 medals, and of course at the Olympics, she's won 11. Maybe we'll get to her in a short while, but she won the medal. Alison Felix from the United States of America, she took part in the 4x400 meters relay event, and she won a bronze medal. I don't know, no, maybe I'll start with Kingsley. This is a lady that had issues with birth. If you remember, just about a year ago, a few years ago, she gave birth to through a cesarean section. She almost lost her life and the baby, but thank goodness the baby was even with her at the event in Eugene. But she's now won what a lot of people. In fact, she said she's her last event. She will be retiring after the World Athletics Championship. Talking about Alison Felix, she won this for mixed relay in a time of 3 minutes 10.16 seconds. Are you surprised that she's having to retire? That's her baby. I think she's just about 3 now. Are you surprised that this lady, who is considered to be the greatest in the United States of America, is retiring?
Yeah, but I'm really surprised, at this point, despite all our incredible performance at this point in time, and just like you mentioned, she has to go through cesarean section to give birth to her daughter. Of course, you can't really expect the best, after undergoing those rigorous process, and she's still standing out at this point. And also presently in the World Athletics Championship, she's also putting up that same performance at this point. So if she decides, to call this, her last, I think it's really deserving. Take a look at what she's done also in the Olympics and also in the World Athletics Championship. So for me, I think if at the end of the day she gets something very huge, in this edition of the World Athletics Championship, I think she could possibly go back and be last and also take care of her family. It's a surprising one. I think that as her age at this point, maybe she could have seen more performance from her, but due to what she's undergoing, I think she really need a rest and maybe take care of her baby and also her family.
Coach, there was something interesting about Felix. She didn't qualify by the time for this World Athletics Championship, but she was invited to take part in the 4x100. Of course, she's a 200 meters, 100 meters champion. She's a queen of the relays, but she didn't qualify going by the requirement of time. But she was invited because someone pulled out. She was invited to be part of this mixed relay, both male and female. And now she's won what looks like a swan song medal as well. This is the stuff champions are made of.
Yes, like I always tell people, form is temporal, class is permanent. And Alison Felix has proved that really she's an athlete with a class and at top-notch level. So for her to have made it through invitation or either wild card to replace somebody who qualified and getting to the medal table, her 30th medal, she's a legend in every ramification.
She's the greatest.
Yes, and in life, the best time to quit is when the ovation is loudest.
Well, the ovation is loudest now for Felix, and I think she is considering to quit. Maybe we'll have to wrap up the program with her, but that will be on our Sports Extraordinary segment. But for now, let's take a break. When we return from the break, we'll go to football. Yes, a lot is happening in the world of football, especially if you're full of European football. There's been a lot of movement. Then on the local scene, Rivers United have been decorated as champions of the 2021-2022 football season here in Nigeria. But we'll have to leave that for a while. But let's take a break. When we return, we'll take a peep of that and many more coming from the world of football. Stay with us here.
radio and just have fun as a football manager.
Welcome back. It's Atlantic Sports Extraordinary and its weekend edition. This is a weekend that will be remembered for a long time if you're from